Alright, basically tied everything up to the engine. All the loose wiring, hoses, all that good stuff. Don't want anything to get crushed. The only real problem child is that guy right there. You kind of gotta thread the needle. And biggest thing is you want to make sure that you're back in neutral. I had it in park, keep them rolling, but we'll need it in neutral in case we got to maneuver it. It's easier to reach it now than trying to crawl under it on a creeper. Alright, so the way it's going to go, it is 10 till 10, 9 minutes till 10. And I am going to set the camera up on the tripod, way back, just kind of shine down on everything. And I'm going to do a full time lapse putting the cab on, and I'm going to see where I end up in 1 hour's time. I'm giving myself 1 hour, put the cab on complete, ready to, do the up to the point where I need to do the oil change, put antifreeze on it, and we'll see what happens. All right, it's 5 till 10. That took 4 minutes. see where we ended up here. Raised vehicle, butt all body lines, hook up shifter, hook up right ground, hook up e-brake cable. Gotta do fog lights, drain off, start running boards. Alright. So it is 5 after 11. It's my lunch time. I allowed myself 10 minutes or so to move the camera. Had a couple people come talk to me. So just over an hour. And what have I got left? I've got the 2 front body bolts. One of the nuts that it goes into in the body spun, they break loose, and I want to show you what's involved with that. So everything else is done except for the cover. I'm going to put this cover on last because I want to go drive it. The cover that's way over there. I want to go drive it and make sure there's no leaks. I'm going to degrease this whole truck so everything will be completely clean and dry when I'm done. There won't be any evidence of any, like this antifreeze hanging out right there. All that'll be gone. On my last post test drive, when I come back and everything's good, I'll put that cover, that shield right here, I'll put that on. So all I got left to do is the fog lights under here, the fog light connector, and change the oil, put running boards on, and then we'll check back. The front body mount bolts, they're like a 6.4 liter and a 6.7 liter, and they run into a nut that's in a cage. It's like a subframe bolt or nut on a Taurus or a Windstar. They have a tendency to have a lot of Loctite on them, and they can spin. This one spun when I took it apart. Only one of the 2. So I'm going to get you in here close so you can see what this looks like. It's rather aggravating. You can get to it. You can almost see it right there, but it's just easy to pull the headlight out. So let me get the headlight out of here. I took the headlight out to get this thing apart, but I just put it back in so it wouldn't get lost or damaged or whatever. And this, behind the left-hand headlight, is the vacuum pump. These boosted engines don't make a lot of vacuums, so they got, each engine has its own style vacuum pump, and this one has a rather heavy-duty, looks almost like an air compressor for suspension vacuum pump. Retaining nuts come from down underneath. I mean, this thing's all there, man. It's pretty serious. So there's the cage nut way back in there, and you can see the cage is spread, and it's allowed that thing just to turn and do all kinds of crazy stuff. You can see it from right there also. So it's right under the support right here. You can see the cage is spread pretty good. So I've just got a little cheapo 22mm wrench. I just customized it with a torch and a vise. I use it for the front cage nuts on the 6.4 and 6.7. And in this case, I'm going to use it on this F-150 with a 3.5. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to bend the cage back down flat. That way I can get the wrench on there. That one's bent pretty good. They run some really nasty Loctite on these bolts. for fear that, you know, the cap's going to fly off this thing in an accident. Alright, got the wrench on there. Really difficult to see. So you can see the opening of the wrench is around the retainer there, the nut. It's going in there. Zoom it back out. So we're going to hold that, and then we're going to turn the body bolt, which is right there. Lights have a mind of their own. And I'll tell you, I'm a little concerned about starting this engine. Because we have a tensioner that's not pumped up. We have an oil filter that doesn't have oil in it. So on and so forth. So we'll see what happens. So all I'm doing there is priming the oil system. I'm just holding the throttle to the floor. There's no fuel in it, so it's easy. You know, it's clear flood mode. It won't allow any fuel to go into it. There's no fuel to begin with, so it works out good. Once I get the oil pressure gauge up, then I'll cycle the key a bunch of times, get the fuel in there, and then start it. We'll just put the accelerator right to the floor, turn the key on. We're going to look for this oil pressure gauge to climb. There we go. So we got oil pressure. So we're good to go on that. And I'm just going to turn the key. Just keep turning it. Just get fuel up to it. And then we'll Let's start this girl up. Sounds pretty good, actually. I'm surprised. Thought it would have rattled a little more. So all I got left to do is I got to clear the codes. I got to let it warm up. I've got to do a misfire profile correction something or another, because we had all the chains off of it, and I got to pull a vacuum on the AC. I got to pull a vacuum for about an hour and fill that. And clean it off, drive it, check it, recheck it, put the plate on it, put the engine appearance cover, and call it done. Now we've got the truck running. We got to do a little housekeeping, if you will. I'm gonna leave this screen crooked because I got the computer sitting on the seat. Check engine light's still on from originally before we worked on it, so let's get that out of here. We want a clean slate. We don't want any codes in there because we're going to go drive it. When we get back from our test drive, we're going to recheck it for codes, and if there's a new code, then we'll know something's going on. If we don't clear the codes, then we won't know if it's a new code or not. So we got our P0016 is what we had to begin with, and that's crank cam correlation. So let's get rid of that. Sometimes a check engine light's very expensive, and such as this case. Sometimes it's easy. I mean, you know, a cheap check engine light would be like an evap code that just has a split and a hose, and you put a 50-cent piece of hose on it. So the next thing we've got to do is we've got to do a profile. Can't ever remember the misfire monitor neutral profile correction. So let's do that. Should be performed when the following: PCM replacement, internal engine parts, CKP sensor or trigger wheel, or redirected by the TSB. So we put some internal engine parts in it. So we are going to do this. We don't want that to happen. Start the engine, and I'm going to have to move you because I got to get to the accelerator. Let's reposition here. Alright, so start the engine. Okay, to erase the existing misfire profile correction, enable learning of a new profile, select the tick. So I already got a yes there, but we'll do it anyway. Now we got to hold it to 3,207 until it counts down. It didn't take. Okay, so now we got to raise it one more time and let that 2 go. There we go. So we are learned. We're learned. And all warning indicators are out, except for the driver door jar. So I took this thing for a ride. It's pouring down rain outside. Luckily they've got wax on the windshield, so I didn't have to use the windshield wipers. But it was a quick test drive because the low fuel light came on. It said 35 miles to empty. I drove it about 4 miles, and before I didn't think I was gonna make it back to the shop. When I got back to the shop, it said 11 miles to empty. And it was getting 9 miles a gallon, which is pitiful. These EcoBoost Clean and Fame is good fuel mileage with plenty of power. So I got it up in the air, and I'm not getting under here with this camera because it's just dripping like crazy. And I rechecked all underneath, and it's nice, and there's no leaks or anything. Everything looks good. And I put the plate under there. But this wheel is locked up. You can barely turn the thing. So we're going to snatch that wheel off and see if the slider or the caliper is acting up. Well, this is an easy enough fix. I don't know what Ford was thinking, but when they went to this design, they decided to put an inboard pad, which is different from the outboard pad. And whoever did the brake job on this is putting both inboard pads on the same side. So you see this nub here? That's the inboard. The caliper's deeper right there. It's shallower right there. So the outboard pad shouldn't have any nubs. And they both have nubs. It should look like this. Both of these are nubless. So all I got to do is take that inboard pad and swap it with the other on the outboard. Simple enough mistake. I mean, anybody can do it. I'm not judging. But it's nice because I can put this thing back together. We can continue on what we were doing and button this thing out. You may have been curious what this bracket is way back on the back of the intake. It looks like it serves no purpose. Those 2 little guys there actually hold our engine cover on. So there's a clip right into it. And that thing's important, man. It's also a sound deadener, quieting down this noisy fuel system. One of the noisiest fuel systems I've ever heard. So let's put this on, and then let's put that on, and then we'll check the codes and move on, because I have a diesel to work on, believe it or not. Check that out, 9.1 miles to the gallon. That's terrible. This thing is extremely low on fuel. I'm not going to drive it again, so we're not going to do like a post video of riding around with the finished product. But there's the mileage on the original engine, 86,946.9. And they're telling me that the replacement engine had 40,000 miles on it, but who knows. So let's do our key on engine running test. So doing our key on engine running test. This thing's doing all its. We dropped another mile. Look at that, 10 miles to empty, just sitting here in the bay. What was it, 11? All right, we got pass, pass, and pass, so we're all good. So that is it. We are done with this truck. Gonna put it out call it a day on this one and move on to the next project. Hope you've enjoyed this series, and thank you for watching.